Morning.
So this morning I'm going to read 3 verses, and there's a common theme, so I want you all to try to really pay attention. There's a common word, and then we're going to take some time and we're going to talk about that word. So if you want to start by turning your Bibles to Proverbs 18, verse 6 and 7. I'll start reading. Verse 6 starts with, "A fool's lips enter into contention," which is like an argument. It's an argument derived with anger. "And his mouth calls for blows. A fool's mouth is his destruction, and his lips are the snare of his soul." The second verse is 29, verse 6. It says, "By transgression an evil man is snared, but the righteous sings and rejoices." And finally, Proverbs 12, verse 13. Would one of you guys want to read that one? Sure.
12:16.
12:13.
The wicked is snared in the transgression of his lips, but the just shall come of the trouble.
So, yes?
Snared is the word.
Yeah, snared. And so, does anybody know what a snare looks like? What does a snare look like?
It's a trap where there's 2 metal beams like this, and then spikes, and then if you step in the middle, it will.
It's basically, it's some sort of a contraption that's made to keep you, right? If you cross paths with a snare or a trap, you're not going to get past it. It's designed to grab you and hold you and keep you there until the person who had set up the trap is there to release it, right? It's usually not something like, say for instance, a snare is not really something that you can get out of. And I wanted to give you guys a bit of an example. So here we have just a simple brass snare. And so set up like this. So there's the hole, and it's big enough so something can get through, right? And so I thought instead of bringing a bunny, I would just bring a leaf, right? Because it'd be easier. So who wants to try to put this through the hole? Vincent? So try to do it as carefully as you can, not to get the stick stuck in the hole. Oh, you did it. Wow. Try it a little bit quicker. See what happens. Oh, you're very fast. You'd be a really good bunny. Try that again. Okay, maybe we'll try someone else who isn't as good of a bunny. There you go. Try you. So, let's see if I can just reset it. Now this is, I will confess, this is my first time making a snare. So maybe that has something to do with it. And try to pull really hard to get it out. See what happens? Then you just make a mess, right? You rip it apart, right? It's not actually supposed to go all the way through, right? It's meant to hold you. And so, I'll take that back. I'll take one more volunteer, one more. There you go, you can try. Oh, you made it too, wow. A lot of good bunnies in the crowd. Thank you. So, but the idea is that when you pull through, it catches you, and then the more you pull, the more it grabs you. And it grabs you tighter and tighter, so that whoever's going through the trap is not going to be able to get out, right? The way it's supposed to be done is the person who set the trap, which then would be me, releases it, and then you can get out, right? And so, now when we read these verses and we hear that word snare, then we can get a visual in our mind of what it's like, what it's talking about. So whatever the subject is or the topic is, if it's telling us that it's going to bring us into a snare, it's going to capture us, right? It's going to capture us and it's going to hold us there
right? Until this trap has released us, right? And so let's try reading these verses again with that picture in mind of what a snare is and what a snare does. So we'll start again with Proverbs 18, verse 6 and 7. I'll read that one. A fool's lips enter into contention, and his mouth calls for blows. A fool's mouth is his destruction, and his lips are the snare of his soul. So now we can see what it's doing, right? So if we are a fool and our lips are run by a fool, right? Our lips are the snare, are the capture, are the trap for our soul. Our soul will get trapped by what we are saying, right? If we are being a fool with our lips. Who wants to read Proverbs 29, verse 6?
He that being offered the neck shall suddenly be destroyed, and that without remedy.
29, verse 6?
Oh, verse.
Sorry.
In the transgression of evil man there is a snare, but righteousness being sing and rejoice.
Okay. And so that actually makes me just think of a scenario, right? So an evil man, by transgression, that's by his wrongdoing, right? It says that's how an evil man is snared. But then the opposite of that is the righteous sings and rejoices. So I can kind of picture two men walking down a path, right? And one is evil, and he's plotting all sorts of evil, and he gets caught, and he trips, and he's stuck in his evil. He can't go any further because it's evil, right? And then I see the opposite of that, someone who's righteous, and they're just, you know, not a care in the world, right? They're just singing and rejoicing, right? So the evil, they get trapped by their sin, right? But the righteous, they get to sing and rejoice, right? And one more, we'll do Proverbs 5:22. Do you want to read that one, Keegan? Proverbs 5:22.
His own iniquities shall take wicked himself, and he shall be holden within the cords of his sins.
Exactly. So his iniquities entrap, or his own iniquities entrap of the wicked man is caught in the cords of sin. And that's something that sometimes when we get caught in our sin, then we like to look at others or look at other scenarios or situations to see where we got caught. What was the trouble? Where did that come from? But if we read here, it says our own iniquities. So his own iniquities, the ones that he does himself, is what gets him trapped, right? And so we know some of the things that can entrap us, right? Our own lips and our own actions, our own sin can entrap us, right? And but so I didn't want to just leave you there. I wanted to finish off with Proverbs 14:27. So this morning we found a few different ways that we can get caught, where we can get snared, right? And so we want to know how to also avoid that. So Proverbs 14:27 says, "The fear of the Lord is a foundation of life, to turn one away from the snares of death." And so that's how you turn away from the snares, right? That's how you go around them. That's how you can rejoice and sing. When you fear the Lord, you remove yourself from the path of the snares. So you don't have to be so worried and concerned about the snares, right? Because if you look back, it is always talking about a fool, right? A fool's lips will catch him, his own iniquities. Someone who's a fool is performing iniquities, right? And so the opposite of a fool is someone who is wise. And we know that the Bible also says the beginning of wisdom is the fear of the Lord, right? And so Proverbs 14:27 says it, The fear of the Lord is a fountain of life to turn one away from the snares of death. So we want to avoid the snares. We fear the Lord, and He'll help us and He'll guide us. When we can't see, then He can see. And there's something else I wanted to point out about the snare. And you guys can probably see it relatively clear because you guys are pretty close. But if I was to ask anyone from the back if they would be able to see it, it'd be really hard to see it, right? And snares are usually like that, where they're kind of caught in the dark or a little bit on a corner, something where it's not going to be like, oh, here's the trap, right? It's a snare, it's a trap. It's meant to be concealed and secretive, right? And so when you fear the Lord, you don't have to so much worry about the secrets because He will direct you and He will guide you. Because the things that sometimes our own eyes can't see, the Lord sees, and the Lord will help you that way. So that's my lesson for today. Thank you so much. Stand up for some singing, please.